Well, good evening, everybody. Hey, it's Linda Anderson here from Linda Lou Creates. Thanks so much for joining me. Hey, tonight I wanted to share with you two fun gatefold cards. One in the traditional measurements, one not so traditional. So I'm also using some paper. The designer series paper is Your Peach. It is on the retiring list, so be sure and get it before it's all sold out. And my stamp sets, actually they come as a bundle, but they are retiring as well. So again, get before everything is sold out. For this card, mine is the All for Baby. Too cute. So cute. Get it now while you can save the 10% with the bundle. Then on this card, it is the Sweet as a Peach bundle. And so you get both the stamp set and the dies, and it's at a savings. So that's where all of my images came from. So let's start first with the traditional gatefold card. Now this one is, like I said, believe it or not, this is the peach paper. I did want to point out how the papers also have, they're two-sided. One side is kind of the theme, I guess, of the suite in which they're in. And so here's the one side with more of those flowers and the peachy kind of theme, while the other side is more of a geometric design that can go with anything. So I wanted to point out just that versatility and how, you can purchase papers that you might not like the main design of, but no, there's always the other side to look at. So, all right, let me bring in the card base so we can go through these. Now, this one is your 5.5 by 8.5. Excuse me. I put it in my score tool, and it is scored at 2 1/8. Now, this is what I do. I flip it and scored at 2 1/8 again. That keeps me from having to worry about the math on going down here. So I know I am not a math person, so I go with whatever is the easiest, and I'm kind of the laziest too, I guess. So excuse me. So there are my two score lines, 2 1/8, 2 1/8. Let's go ahead and fold that in. Let me grab my bone folder. I'm just going to move this off to the side because I can see me making a mess. And what happens then is it meets right in the middle. All right, so I'm going to now adhere my papers here to the side. I have Pear Pizzazz as the layer underneath. And so the Pear Pizzazz, this is 5 1/4 by 1 7/8, leaving me with my DSP to be 5 1/8 by 1 3/4. I have two pieces of each. All right, so you know how I like my layers, number one, and number two, my layers to be only that 1/8 of an inch difference. So there are times when I do them at 1/4 of an inch, but today it is the 1/8 of an inch. So, okay, so here is one. Let me hurry up and get the other one adhered down to. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful weekend, getting ready for the new week, the new work week. Always a busy time for everybody, isn't it? You know, funny how work just gets in the way of fun. So anyway, now I'm going to take these two strips and they're going to adhere on either side here of my gatefold card. So let me go ahead now and do that. What was our weekend? Whoops, I'm moving stuff all around. We had last night, I don't know if some of you have seen it on Facebook that I posted this, but last night I'm here in my craft room and all of a sudden there's like these two bangs. And I'm like, what in the world? It almost sounded like when a bird hits the window, that kind of loud bang. But I'm like, this was like at 8:30 at night. So Brian and I went around looking up things, didn't really see anything. However, come morning, We did. There were 3 rocks in our driveway, and they were thrown at our garage door. And we have some damage to our garage door now. So the police came through and, filing a report. I'm asking some of the neighbors if they have any cameras, if they could possibly review it, see if they saw anything happen around that time. So anyway, it just seems like one thing after another. But anyway, this is the inside. 4 by 5 1/4. I stamped one of the sentiments then in Pear Pizzazz, and this is just a quick piece of the designer series paper that I had left over. So this will just go right on the inside here. So now, I don't know that I told you, this is balmy blue is what the color of this is. So sorry about that. I also, with the second to the largest, cut out from the Stitch So Sweetly, dies. And these are retiring too. I'm so bummed about that. But anyway, I cut one of those out of the balmy blue. Now I'm going to go ahead and just adhere it down, and it's going to make sure, it does not matter on which side you adhere it down, just make sure you only put adhesive to cover one of the flaps here. That's the trickiest part of this. So let me go ahead and don't get too hog wild with it. And down it will go. Let me just squirm that around. I feel like I moved it, and there we go. Okay. All right. So no glue came out. Now, here is my white panel. This measures 2 1/8 by 3 1/4. And I'm going to stamp on this, and it's going to fit then on the inside here. I do have a piece that I have already stamped on, but there's a couple things that I just wanted to share with you in regards to the stamping. So if I goof up, though, I already have one made up. So in case I do goof up. So, all right, I have the clothesline here. Let me bring back what the image is going to come out as, like this really adorable onesie. But let me find where my, here it is. I have some basic gray. I just happen to have it in the spot. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink up my big old smiley face of a clothesline here. And just go ahead and let's get that put down. All right. Next is going to be the onesie. Now that I'm using Pear Pizzazz for. So with all of this fun kind of texture and design within this image, my stamp pad it actually needs re-inked, but I'm opting not to because I don't want it to seep into all of the nooks and crannies here, and because I want to see those whenever I stamp. So I'll show you what I mean. So see here, there's like a little button and all the visual texture that you can get. Now I know there's that button there, but there's also a star stamp in this, the baby set, and I'm using that again in Pear Pizzazz, and I'm just going to put it there and make it a star button then instead. So I have clothespins because you can't have it on the clothesline without that. So let me get my crumb cake and the clothespins. I mean, it's like, these are perfect. See, these are all on one, so it fits on there perfectly. So, okay. So, here are the clothespins. I hear you all saying, aw, I do. I hear you. Because I'm saying the same thing. So, and let me get my sentiment then. That's going to be also in the balmy blue. So, okay. Now, this just is hello little one. And let me see how well I can do this without really looking. I like looking down from the top when I'm stamping, but there we go. Actually, not too bad. So from there, I will put dimensionals on the back, which, like I said, I already have one stamped. So I'm going to pull that one out because it already has the dimensionals on the back. Let me bring my card back in, and we're going to finish this up with popping up this piece. This is the one that's 2 1/8 by 3 1/4. Fits right on the inside here of this rectangle from the Stitch So Sweetly. And I'm going to pop that right in there. And now the last bit is to add a couple pearls. So let me bring those in. Yes, I color my pearls. I use my stamping blends to color them. So that's why you see some pink ones on here too. So let me just bring in, and I'm only going to do 2 of the pearls. I know I usually do an odd number, but today I'm just feeling like doing just the 2. And there we go. There is the Gatefold card done with the paper that's meant to be peach themed, but we made it into a baby card. So kind of fun. All right, let me bring in the other one. This one is a Gatefold card, yes. However, it is not scored right evenly on both sides. See how you have still the 2 flaps, but they are definitely not the same size. So let me bring in all of the parts that we're going to need for this, and let's get started. So here we go. I have, again, this is the Balmy Blue, 8 1/2, 5 1/2. Now the score lines for this one are a little bit different. So this time I did measure it out, and the first score line is at 2 5/8. So 2 5/8 here, and then 6 7/8 here. Let me turn that around. That is incorrect. Let me just double check and see. Yep, I did that wrong. So this one is at 2 5/8. This one is at 6 7/8. All right, 2 5/8, 6 7/8. So let me just go ahead and fold that, and we'll figure it out once it's folded, which goes where. So, so there we go. Here's our 2 unequal flaps then for this not Z-fold, Gatefold. All right, so again, I have the same Balmy Blue with the Stitch So Sweetly, the same piece of white cardstock that I'm going to do my stamping on, 2 1/8 by 3 1/4. I also have now my insides, which is 5 1/4 by 4. Let me go ahead and hurry up and put that in. And as you can see, I just, honestly, that strip of pattern paper, I don't measure. It's just whatever I have left over. So that is how that goes. So don't measure that one. Just put down what you have because you want to use your paper. All right. If you wanted yours to go this way with the smaller flap on the left, go ahead. You certainly can. Sorry, I guess it would help if I kept it in frame, huh? All right, so here now are the parts that go here. So we have Calypso Coral. These are the panels that mat underneath our paper. This piece is 2 3/8 by 5 1/4. This piece of coral is 1 3/8 by 5 1/4. So that makes now my paper, my designer series paper. And yeah, I am using the side, I guess, that I feel like is more the peach theme part of it. And this one measures then 2 1/4 by 5 1/8. And here we've got 1 1/4 by 5 1/8. All right. I will post, excuse me, the measurements for all of this out on my blog. Whenever I do get it posted, I always kind of put a note here on Facebook that says, read my blog post. And that way you'll be able to see the measurements and all of the products that were used also. So I will have those all with links that you'll be able to get to. So, all right. And then here is that 1 1/4 wide piece. All right. By 5 1/8. So let's get that on. And now we're going to put all of this down to the card. Okay. So it's a lot of putting down, but once you have all the measurements, it goes pretty fast. So I love this peach paper, You're a Peach, that it has these little pops of blue. I'm like, oh, I really do like those little pops of blue. So that's sort of unexpected and fun at the same time. So, all right, so this is my, I don't know what to call this, an unequal gatefold. Anyway, lopsided, who knows? So here we go. Once again, I'm going to put my little rectangle here down. And again, make sure that you do not put adhesive on the one side that you don't want it to stick down to. Otherwise, your card will be closed and you'll never get to open it up. So I like using, putting it down so that it is adhered to the left side here, this bigger panel. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I just kind of eyeball it. And let's see here. And then adhere it down. Oops. I love the ability for wiggle room with the liquid glue, but it also, if it's not stuck down real good, it'll move on you whenever you don't want it to. So, all right, now let me just give you a couple little pointers for this piece here, this 2 1/8 by 3 1/4. And now this is the Sweet as a Peach stamp set that I'm using here. So let me bring the sample back in so you can see what we're going to be doing. Whoops. Now the leaves already have openings, so to speak, for the flowers, and even for, there are peaches within this stamp set as well. I decided to go with the flowers, but there are openings in which to put all of your goodies into. And let me stamp this down so I can show you. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of pop it at an angle, and I'm okay that I'm going off. Now the way this is designed, it sort of has sort of what they call a distinctive kind of look, where it's not solid. You get all of those gradients of color on there. Now the flowers, all three are one stamp. Now I'm going to use Calypso Coral on this. However, I recently inked or re-inked my pad, so it is really juicy. If you have a stamp with all of these details on them, you don't want it to be a real juicy stamp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp off. See how dark that is? And then I'm going to come to my card and kind of fit it in here where those, whoops, and move it and smear it. All right, so where those openings are. Now, mind you, it does not line up perfectly, but I like the lighter color of that, and I can really see the details then of that stamp. Okay, let's add our sentiment. Now the sentiment is 2 words, or 2 stamps rather, 2 words. Yeah, duh. Anyway, they are 2 separate stamps. So I have friend on one side of the block here. I'm just using this black Memento ink. And so I will stamp it here. And then I'm flipping my block over to get the word hello. I like to stamp them mostly separately because I can then position them anywhere I want. Now, let me see if I can do this. I'm really not seeing where I'm stamping. So, fingers crossed. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now, if I tried to put those two stamps together on one block and stamp them, they would be much further apart. And I like them a little bit closer like that. Okay, so time to put the dimensionals on. And by the magic of television, I already have one that way. So we can just go ahead and do that. So let me bring back the card. And let's go ahead and finish this up with all of my dimensionals. Yes, I use a lot of dimensionals. I think everyone knows that by now. And I make fun of myself about it, but it's okay. So here we go. And again, let's bring in those pearls. Add just, this time though, oh, I am going to add 3. Okay, so let's put the 2 up here at the top. Kind of go with what your image is telling you to where to put things. Pearls, do you want 2? Do you want 3? Do you want a lot more? I'm using my pick tool to pick them up, and there's a sort of a sticky end to it, and that's what you use to pick up your embellishments and adhere them down. So here is card number 2, the wacky gatefold card, I guess, the uneven. So I'm using the peach paper and the peach stamp set. So let me bring in the other one. Here is our baby card with the more traditional fold for a gatefold card and using the other side of the paper. Remember, there's always a second side, so it would be perfect. So anyway, well, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you have a great week. Hooray for April. That means it's getting closer to spring, getting closer to being warm, and I can really appreciate that. So if you have any questions about any of the cards I created, any of the products I used, let me know. I would be happy to help you out. You can message me or just write in the comments. So, all right, guys. Hey, thanks again, and I hope you get a chance to create something this week. Bye now.